What is going on right now? Is 60% trying to be the wave again, or are these big companies just a little slow on the uptick? Today we've got the Alloy Origins 60% from HyperX. No collab on this one, just a straightforward 60% layout, HyperX red linears, double shot PVT caps, and a low profile case that feels built really tough. You ready? Let's go! So the Alloy Origins 60 is the latest from HyperX. It retails for $99.99 US. This shouldn't really come as a big surprise, as those Alloy Origins boards have a tendency to review pretty well, and we've already seen a couple collabs from HyperX and Ducky that sold out really fast. They teased these out on Twitter a couple days back, so I would expect this initial batch to sell out pretty fast as well. The first batch of these will only be available directly through the HyperX stores, both for US and Canada markets only at first. The weight is the first thing you're going to notice about this board in hand. With its aluminum chassis, it's pretty heavy. It's 738 grams. The top of the case has a little lip that runs around the outer edge, but it's essentially a floating switch design. This one is using their HyperX linear reds. No official word on whether they plan to drop these in tactile or clicky anytime soon. HyperX switches are some of the better big production switches you'll see out there. They've spent zero time chasing down new tech or gimmicks for their switch and focused instead on delivering a solid mechanical MX style switch, and they do really well. Underside of the case, we've got the big HyperX embossed. They're molded right into the aluminum. It's a nice look. There's 4 rubber bars down there for grip and dual stage height adjust feet as well in plastic. Really happy to see a left mounted USB-C cable that's recessed into the frame for a clean look. You shouldn't have any issue with custom cables either. Inside the box, you'll find a soft braided detachable USB-C that's branded on both ends. The length here is 1.8 meters. You'll also have a small plastic branded keycap puller, as well as a HyperX logo escape key and painted ABS, and a shine through ABS spacebar in a TOPO pattern that looks sick. I wish they would have skipped the branding on the add-in spacebar. Maybe I can get Random Frank P to talk to them about that. The PCB is also black, and they include the 2 extra LEDs in there like we see from Ducky to illuminate the spacebar completely. The rest of the keycaps on the board are double shot shine through PBT. The combination of texture and the process for the side printed legends make me feel like maybe Ducky actually produced these for HyperX, but I'm just guessing. The font here definitely has like a blocky gamer thing going on. Whether or not that appeals to you is on you. The quality though is there. All the legends and the lighting are smooth and consistent. The caps themselves are really squared off at the edges too, like more like a cubic profile almost versus a standard cherry profile. The function key is in the lower right corner. Arrows are on the mod cluster right beside it. This is actually a really natural way to do the arrows because your pinky finger lands right on the function when you go for that cluster. It's smart. I'm surprised I haven't seen it before. I really like it. I think it makes an easier transition for people nervous about going to a keyboard without dedicated arrows. If you are new to 60% layout, just know that all the functionality is still there, like the F row. You just need to trigger them with the function key. And because this is a standard layout here, virtually any keycap set you can find, regardless of price, as long as they're MX compatible, will fit this board 100%. Unsurprisingly, RGB on this board is really well done. I've always been a fan of how they use raised dip LEDs on their switches, so the characters themselves light really bright. In combination with that black backplate, it makes for a reserved glow on the keybed with legends that really stand out. Unfortunately, I can't be as complimentary to the stabilizers. These are basic cherry style stabs, and they definitely sound and feel like it. Because this isn't a hot swap board, you're gonna have to go with an injectable method if you want to lube these or break out the soldering iron. I can't really get a good angle to see if there's any factory lube in there. If there is, it's thin and minimal, but it sure doesn't sound or feel like it. So there you go. The switches themselves sound pretty good, and the case doesn't have any apparent need for sound dampening, but the stab rattle makes the overall sound of the board pretty poor. It's a shame too, because they seemingly did almost everything right with this board, but they overlooked the detail that has a lot of impact to the sound and the feel of this board. As for detailed lighting control and remapping, that will all be handled in the Ingenuity software. It's still a Windows app, but you don't have to leave it running for things to take effect. This board has 3 different profiles you can save to and switch to on the go without the software running. This includes includes all of your lighting as well as your keybinds. For key remapping, it's mostly fleshed out. The big detail there is that you can't remap the location of the function key itself, nor could I figure out how to duplicate the function key to any other key, such as caps lock. I really can't knock the software as much as I have in the past because they make it dead easy to go in there and do rebinding and per key RGB especially, which is something that's difficult on a board like the 1-2 Mini. Plus, you don't have to have it running full time. They've treated it more like a firmware flasher here, so it gets a pass from me. So there you go. Pretty straightforward review today because it's a pretty straightforward product. The biggest letdown by a landslide are the stabilizers, because otherwise they've gotten about as close to perfect as one can on a big production pre-built 60%. Hopefully they take that in stride and really tighten these up for future builds. Outside of that, it feels like it's built to take a beating, and I've had no issues with drivers, firmware, PCB stuff, key chatter, nothing. My copy has been very solid. The only real point of conversation surrounding value is there still a mainstream market for a standard layout pre-built 60%? You don't have a lot of options out there from the big brands. It's like Razer and Ducky, and against the 1-2 Mini, it's got the better case, arguably better red switches and lighting, but it does fall short to Ducky's stabs. The Razer Huntsman Mini brings those optical switches, and at least in the US market, it's down to like that $100 price tier as well. Much like I said about that Razer board at the time, if you're already a fan of HyperX or you already have some of their peripherals in your lineup, chances are you've been waiting for something like this. Outside of that, there's a conversation about going custom or something with hot swap, but $100 doesn't get you very far, even in entry-level customs, usually a bare bones kit. You may be able to come away with like a full GK build or something similar. Why don't you tell me, if you had $100 to spend on a small form factor keyboard, how would you spend it? Let me know in the comments. As always, links down in the description for everything we talked about today. Any questions, hit me in the comments. And that's it for this time. I'm Brian P. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit that sub button. And until next time, stay up.